Okay, so the average rainfall across the continent of Africa varies dramatically, with some of the global wettest and driest countries found in Africa. So, by the global average, that is 990 millimeters per annum. Let's discuss the Africa rain pattern or the world's rain pattern and see how wet and dry the African continent is and how things are moving recently by 2025 discoveries. Okay, let's go. So for number one, we are talking about the driest countries by the millimeters of rain that falls. So let's see. So number one is Egypt. Egypt is the most driest country in the world, though, and also in Africa with 80 milliliters. Now number two is Libya with 56 milliliters. Number three is Saudi Arabia, 59 milliliters. Number four is Qatar, 74 milliliters. Number five is UAE, 78. Number six is Bahrain, 83. Number seven is Algeria. Algeria is also an African country. They may be second on African continent, but number seven globally. Number eight is Mauritania. Number nine is Jordan, and number 10 is Kuwait with 121 milliliters. So these are your most driest countries in the world, while Africa had two representatives. Okay, so these countries are said to be the most driest country in the world. Well, now let's go inside more. It says in contrast, the wettest countries only featured one African country. So the wettest country, number one is Colombia with 3.240 milliliters. Number two is Hatum and Principe, the only African country here with 3,200 milliliters. Number three is Papua New Guinea, 3,142 milliliters. Number four is Solomon Islands, 3,028, and then number five is Panama with 2,928. The source to this information is World Bank and the Visual Capitalist. Well, so the source to this information is the World Bank and the Visual Capitalist. Okay, so you have to actually notice the world wettest and the driest countries, and how it's both of these lists are actually brought in some two African countries. So let's say three for the wettest country in the world, and also the only African country that made the list was Sao Tome and Principe. But for the driest country in the world, also featured two African countries, that is Egypt being number one, and then Algeria being number 7. And also in Africa perspective, the Egypt is number 1 and Algeria being number 2. Okay, so that is something you guys need to know about the weather condition in Africa and how things are going. Okay, yeah. That is it. Well, now there's a chat for you guys to know. Yeah, there's a chat here. You guys can know and identify what is happening. Oh, see, this one came and says, now this made me recall Yoga's Egypt's post where she said that water is a super expensive over there, and I guess is the reason why. Yeah, water is the most expensive thing in Egypt because of the rain, their droughts, their dryness. Yeah, Egypt is actually so hard to get water from. So yeah, water is very important to Egyptians. Again, this one also says adaptability turns harsh climates into opportunity. That's so true though. Some people have adapted these harsh conditions and they have now been able to be wealthy. Like the countries like Dubai, the UAEs are doing great. Well, again, this one says Africa really does have every kind of climate. Yeah, we do. Some have winter, some have the driest, some have the most rainforest or rainy seasons, and almost all the seasons too. Africa is really blessed. And then lastly, this one says poor Egypt, barely any rain. Wow, they should produce artificial clouds over the land so it rains like in Dubai. That is a claim for an African person that is saying that they need to do that. They need to create an artificial cloud that can actually lead for rain. Well, Dubai did that, but in 2024, Dubai had one of the most insane drought or flood they can ever had. They had a flood that actually almost got the whole city sank. So yeah, hopefully Egypt can do something about that, but hope that happen. What happens to Dubai, the world didn't happen to them too. Okay, so this is something you guys need to know about the African continent and also the world at large. Hope you guys have learned something and gotten to know which African country is the most wettest, that is Sao Tome and Principe, which African country that is the most driest, that is Egypt, and then Algeria. Hopefully you get to know this. Thank you for your time. See you guys around. Here is African time. The name is Fadash.